A quiet revolution is underway in global finance, one that could reshape money, trade, and power for decades. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have launched a new payment system to conduct international trade without the US dollar. This is a direct challenge to a financial order that has dominated for nearly 80 years. It's not just technical, it's a political statement, signaling a desire for less dependence on America. BRICS Pay aims to create a parallel highway for international transactions, giving these nations more autonomy. For decades, the US dollar has been the world's reserve currency, giving America immense global influence. By building their own financial architecture, BRICS nations seek to reduce Washington's leverage. This could mark a shift from a unipolar to a multipolar financial world. The US has long used its central role to enforce foreign policy through sanctions. If countries can trade outside this system, America's most powerful non-military tool weakens. The BRICS payment network is a strategic move to rebalance global power. Its launch is a clear challenge to the status quo, raising questions about the future of money and international power. The old certainties are fading, and a new chapter is being written. To grasp the BRICS move, we need to understand how the US dollar became the world's dominant currency. After World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement pegged other currencies to the dollar, which was tied to gold. This made the dollar the world's primary reserve currency, held by central banks everywhere. Even after the US ended the gold standard in 1971, the dollar's dominance continued, thanks to the petrodollar system. Oil was priced in dollars, so everyone needed them. This constant demand gave the US enormous benefits: cheaper borrowing, the ability to run large deficits, and global economic leverage. Economists call this the exorbitant privilege. America can import goods and pay with paper money the world wants to hold. This has supported a higher standard of living for Americans and given Washington global influence. But this dominance comes with risks and responsibilities. The US Federal Reserve's decisions ripple worldwide, sometimes making it harder for developing countries to repay debts. Critics say the system is unfair, benefiting America at others' expense. This frustration has fueled the desire for alternatives like the BRICS system. The dollar's central role means US policy can cause economic tremors from São Paulo to Seoul. Many countries feel subject to the whims of another nation's economic policy. The BRICS initiative is a direct response to these long-standing grievances. The world is now seeking a new balance in global finance. If the dollar is the blood of the global economy, SWIFT is its circulatory system. SWIFT is a messaging network banks use to send payment instructions worldwide. Over 11,000 institutions in 200-plus countries rely on it, making it essential for global commerce. Being cut off from SWIFT is like being kicked off the internet, isolated from global business. The US has pressured SWIFT to disconnect banks from sanctioned countries like Iran and Russia, crippling their economies. This use of SWIFT as a foreign policy tool alarms countries like China and Russia. They see dependence on Western-controlled systems as a vulnerability. If they fall out of favor with Washington, they risk economic isolation. This fear has driven the push for a new, independent network. BRICS nations want a system immune to Western political pressure. The BRICS payment system is the result of years of dissatisfaction with the global financial order. The main motivation, greater sovereignty, and less dependence on the US BRICS nations, feel the current system doesn't reflect shifting global power. The dollar's use as a tool of foreign policy, freezing reserves, blocking access, poses a constant threat. Russia's frozen reserves after 2022 were a wake-up call, showing even major powers aren't safe. Economic frustrations also play a role. Developing economies are vulnerable to US monetary policy swings. When the Federal Reserve raises rates, emerging markets suffer. BRICS countries want more control over their economic destinies. Trading among themselves is also inefficient, often requiring costly dollar conversions. A direct system would be cheaper, faster, and less risky. Strategic, political, and practical reasons combine to make the BRICS payment system a reality. Enter BRICS a dollar-free alternative to the Western financial system. BRICS is designed to let members settle cross-border trade without touching the US dollar or Western banks. It's more than a messaging platform. It links domestic payment systems like China's CEPS, Russia's SPFS, and India's UPI. This network of networks allows seamless payments in local currencies. A new reserve asset, perhaps a basket of BRICS currencies or a digital currency, could bridge national currencies. The rollout will be gradual, starting with trade among BRICS members, especially in commodities. Russia and China already trade in yuan and rubles. The new system expands this to other members and partners. The goal: build critical mass and offer a real alternative for nations seeking to diversify away from the dollar. Here's how the new system works. Imagine a Brazilian company buying electronics from China. In the old system, the payment would go through multiple banks, currency conversions, and the US financial system, adding costs and delays and exposing the transaction to US oversight. If either country faced US sanctions, the deal could be blocked. With BRICS the Brazilian company pays in yuan directly through its local bank, which connects to the Chinese bank via the BRICS network. Settlement can happen through bilateral currency swaps or a common reference asset. The US dollar and banking system are bypassed entirely. Transactions are faster, cheaper, and immune to American sanctions. This is the core appeal: financial independence. For businesses, it means less red tape and lower costs. For governments, it means more freedom in foreign and economic policy. No longer do they risk being cut off from global trade at a moment's notice. The BRICS system offers a new degree of autonomy. The BRICS payment system could dramatically weaken the impact of Western sanctions. For decades, sanctions relied on the dollar and SWIFT to isolate countries. BRICS creates a bypass. Sanctioned nations can keep trading with others using the new network. For example, a country blocked from selling oil for dollars could sell to China or India in local currencies. This doesn't erase all pain, but it provides a vital economic lifeline. The shift has major geopolitical implications, reducing US leverage in global disputes. Power begins to shift from a unipolar world to a multipolar one, with new rules and spheres of influence. A credible alternative could erode the dollar's dominance over time. As more trade happens outside the dollar, central banks may hold fewer US reserves. America's exorbitant privilege could fade, raising borrowing costs at home. The transition will be gradual, but the BRICS system is the first real crack in the dollar's global reign. The balance of power in global finance is shifting. The world is watching closely. These changes in global finance could affect everyone. For businesses, direct payments in local currencies mean faster, cheaper transactions. Consumers might see lower prices on imports, or in the US, higher prices if the dollar weakens. Americans could face higher interest rates as the US loses its borrowing advantage. For other countries, a less dominant dollar could mean more stable local economies. Governments will have new choices: engage with BRICS or stick with the old system. But a fragmented financial world brings risks: more complexity, less stability, and questions about who really controls the new system. We're at a historic crossroads. The BRICS payment system is the biggest challenge to the US-led financial order since World War II. The era of dollar supremacy may be ending, replaced by a more complex, multipolar world. This transition brings both opportunity and risk. Will the new system create a more balanced global economy or spark rivalry and instability? Businesses and governments must adapt to new rules and risks. The future of global finance is uncertain, and the stakes are high. The world is watching as a new chapter unfolds.